Everybody know I'm Jimmy A. My clean date's 3/9/10. That's the day I was sentenced to prison. And everybody knows that's been to prison, you can get wherever you want if you have a mind to get it. I've been to prison 3 times, and I'll get back to that later. So I was born in the 70s, right? So my parents back then, it was cocaine and Budweiser. That was just the 70s parties, right? My stepdad was a biker, and that's what they did. You was to be seen and not heard. And if you was heard, you got your ass whipped. If you got heard, you got your ass whipped, and you just went out back, and then you hung out with other kids that were in trouble. And I had an older brother who was my influence. So from the age of 6 to 36, I had some kind of substance in my body. I won't get drug related, but I like messing around. I had to be going faster than the stolen car I was in, right? Well, I was always trying to impress my brother and try to do more. And I wish I knew now, what I know now, I wish I knew then. I was just adrenaline junkie, right? And I was always looking for a good time. Well, we started out in Salton, moved to Whidbey Island, and went to Florida. And if anybody's been to Florida, if you want it, you can find it. And so my brother used to like smoking weed with me because that was funny because I'd be giggling and stuff. And one day he said, "Here, Jimmy, try this." When I exhaled, there was a new animal inside of me that could never be squashed. It was the dragon that woke up, and the bells and the whistles from the siren. And I remember looking in this guy's house and seeing him looking out the window, and I just ran in. I don't know why, because but that's what the voice inside my head said to do. And so that was about 8 years old. From then until 36, I chased that fucking dragon. I chased it through with every drug I could find, every woman I can find, and every stolen car I could steal. And people ask me if I have any regrets in life. No. The only regret I have in life is not doing any military. Because if I didn't go through the shit I went through growing up, I would not be the man who I am today to get to stand here and tell you guys my path. It's not a story. I didn't write this. This is the path I walked. And some of it is harmful. I hurt people. I remember one time I fucking jumped in the car. We used to call them steamers. The car's warm and the person inside getting the lunch. I jumped in this fucking through in the reverse, and it's backing up, and I look over, and there's 2 fucking kids in the back seat. I fucking threw in a park, and I said, "Tell your mom she's a bad mom," and jumped out. I could have went to prison forever. Kidnapping, fucking, you know what I mean? Luckily, I drove about from here to the end of the building, man, and luckily, I wasn't driving straight because I would never look in my rearview mirror because I never liked to see what was behind me. And so we lived in Florida, right? And I was always chasing the dragon down there. And then my parents realized that I was, I've been to every fucking boarding school and last opportunity, and they knew they had to get me out of there. And they fucking left my brother there. He just got caught for robbing 150 fucking gas stations, and he was going to prison. So they left him. We took off. Well, just because we moved states doesn't mean I left my fucking addiction behind. And I showed up on Whidbey Island and started over. Over there was one thing led to another thing, and next thing you know, I'm right back to where I was. Because that dragon inside, as we all know, doesn't die. It doesn't matter how long you stay clean, it doesn't die. So I got real good at sports. Like in my home group, people know that I won't volunteer to read these because I never learned how to read until I was in prison. And it's kind of embarrassing, but I was good at sports and I had a smart girlfriend. And she did all my homework for me, and I would just go jogging for wrestling. And I got patted on my back and scooted aside. And then they didn't know what to do with me because I was a handful. And this is where the school did me the best thing I ever possibly could. In Everett, there's a thing called Snow Owl Skill Center. And they sit me there. And I learned how to weld 31 years ago. And anybody knows anything about welding, it's never the same. So every time you're doing something, it interests my brain. And now here I am, 51 years old, and I own my own welding company. And by the grace of God, I still get to do that. But to get there, I got kicked off of Whidbey Island. I went to court so many fucking times after I went from class of 93, fucking hometown hero, goes to state playoffs for football, state for wrestling, and state for track, 4 events. A month later, fucking hometown druggie gets escorted off of Whidbey Island. And I like to do things fast, right? So I went off of there and went to Everett, and holy hell, that place was off the hook. The faulty 425, as I like to used to say it, right? I was right at home. I was a faulty motherfucker. And anybody who's been to jail and prison know that the words punk and bitch meant fighting, right? I was a punk bitch because I hurt people. I never wanted to hurt nobody. But when you get up to go to work and you pass all these cars, how many cars you pass? That's about how many I fucking stole in my life. I'd steal 3, 4, 5 at a time. I stole 26 cars off of one car lot in one night because the guy wouldn't sell a car to me because he called me a drug dealer because I had 2 phones. Well, I proved him wrong. I was a car thief. It got to the point where the Russians were like, "Hey, don't bring us no more cars. Don't come back. You're blowing up our spot." For the Russians to tell you that, you're doing something right. So, then I had this girlfriend that it was at the time, man, she just wanted to party, and she was older than me, and she was blonde hair, blue eyes, and big tits, and I was like, always in. Let's go have fun. And then I had to start fighting with these people, and then no one knew me in Everett, so I became a fighter, not a partier. And I got known as this fucking Skinny Jimmy, right? And today when people call me Skinny Jimmy, I get mad about that because that is not the person I want to be remembered as. That person is actually embarrassing to me. By the grace of God, my youngest stepdaughter has never heard or known of that person. My oldest daughter, who's 26, well, I got 3 9/10s, my clean date, right? So I'm 15 years, so she's seen that part of me, man. And now she's my COO of my company, and she owns 48% of my business. I gave it to her. She's a person, an addict too, but she's proven herself too to me. But so in Everett, either fighting or partying or stealing cars, right? Well, I was stealing cars and I got arrested and went to jail. And in Everett, if you play your cards right, hey, this guy knows where to get drugs. This guy knows where to sell a car. This guy knows a car light. Well, I was going in and fucking using my fucking toolbox and meeting all these people and going out. I mean, I remember getting in booked, and that was just a book and release, and go out the door, and 4 hours later, I'm coming back in the fucking door. And then I realized I got no money. Nobody knows where I'm at. I got to get a bail bondsman on my side. And I did. And I'd steal stuff and take it to him. And all right, I got smart. I'd go give it to his mom. And he owed me, right? And so it started working out great. And then I got myself wrapped up in some stolen cars and bounced off a couple police cars and ended up in jail. A washed up drug addict that was only usable like a pair of socks to just throw away. I sat there and went to prison. And I ended up in Monroe at a camp. And I remember outside one time walking so fucking high, I didn't realize I was the only person out in the fucking yard. And the fucking guards screaming at me, "Lock down." And anybody's been to prison and jail, if you want to find that shit, it's there. I wanted to find it. I got out of, first time out of prison at 226 pounds. 34 days later, I got arrested at 157 pounds. And back to prison I went. But this time I took the beef from my girlfriend because I do time just fine. I know how to fight, and I know how to go get the jobs. And so she can stay home, and she can send me my $10 a week. That only lasts for about 30 days, and they forget, right? Which is no big deal. So the second time I went to prison and got out, and I was thinking, I'm going to try something different. I'm only going to sell drugs. And we all know how that works out, right? But I went and got this job working in the shipyards, and I would go to work 2 hours early to see my path of what I was going to steal, and I'd go work 8 or 10 hours, sometimes 12, and I'd go back and steal all that stuff. Then I'd have the dope man meet me there, and then I'd go to work and sell it in the shipyards, because I thought that's the way it should do. And I literally went to work every fucking day, and I wouldn't fall asleep until Saturday because we worked 6 10s or 6 12s, so I could sleep on Sunday, so I can get up and go steal some shit on the way to work on Monday. Because we all know I didn't pay rent, I didn't pay the power bill, I didn't pay the fucking cell phone bill, but we had a good one week, right? Because I was chasing that dragon of whatever I needed to have at the time. And then, you ever catch yourself driving to fucking work and you're just doing nothing but staring in your rearview mirror because you got 7 warrants and fucking and plenty of people wanting to tell on you to get out of jail. And I did this for probably a year straight, man, where I was going to work. It'd be a hot summer fucking day, and I'm wearing sweats under my pants, under my Carhartts, so I wouldn't look so fucking sucked up at work. And getting by. But if anyone knows I've been in the shipyards, that's a normal look. But I didn't know it at the time. And my life was falling apart around me. I'm trying to keep it together, and the only thing I was actually to keep at the time was my dog. I took my dog to work with me and took her home, dropped her off, and my girlfriend said, "Hey, we have trouble. We have to go help a friend out. He's running from the cops." So okay, where we got to go? And then he stopped calling, so I got up and went to work. And I'm walking into to work one day, and I got, who was it? Someone from back in the game, I can't remember who it was, showed up in work. I'm like, "What the fuck you doing here?" They're like, "We got to talk." I'm like, "What's going on?" She's like, "The reason why you couldn't go find Jesse is because he was shot by the cops. He was in the driveway they shot him. He ended up dying in the hospital there that day. 72 hours later, I get arrested for possession of stolen property in the 2nd degree. With 23 felony points, it still only holds 19 months, right? So I bailed out. Cool. I'm smarter than them. So Jesse, he's black. I'm white. Shows on camera. Who stole the car? I'm obviously not the guy. So I run on that bail for a long time, and finally I go stand in court one day on 3/9/10. I walked in there in the morning fucking high, knowing I'm just going to get 19 months. And I end up paying this lawyer to come and stand with me, and the judge says, "Mr. Absher, you're a career criminal. I don't know why I'm going to take this offer, because I've been asking for DOSA. I don't know why I'm going to get it, but if I ever hear of you, know of you, or see you again in Superior Court, you better commit murder, because you're going to do just as much time." And he went, and I was fucking stone cold sober. I don't know what it was about that time or that day or what happened right then and there, but fucking something snapped in my head. And it's the first time I went to fucking jail. I didn't sit down at the fucking pinochle table, card table, or start telling stories. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to know it, and I didn't want to see it. And the reason why I use that 3/9/10 as my clean date, because the first 2 times I was in prison, I was drinking and shooting dope because I wanted it. I went in that time, and the only thing I wanted was peace. I wanted to be able to drive to the fucking store and not have to look in the rearview mirror. I wanted to drive to the store and not have to get in my car and go like this, because it was stolen. And so I ended up doing this DOSA, and I heard this guy say the word surrender. I'm like, what kind of pussy is this? Who surrenders? And what now is one of my famous things to say, because I fucking surrendered to my devil inside. And I didn't know how to accept it. I didn't know how to accept a handshake. I didn't know how to accept a hug. I didn't know how to accept someone to invite me to their house. I didn't know how to go to someone's house and be able to take my shoes off because my socks didn't sink. You know what I mean? Because I'm up running so long and not showering. And we've all done that, right? I didn't know how to fucking look somebody in the eyes without fucking wondering what they have in their pocket. I didn't know how to be grateful for them to buy me a meal. Because the only thing that someone wanted me before is fighting, stealing cars, or drugs. That's all I was ever known for. And now here, we're in the land of recovery because, you know, anyone does DOSA, you got to do so many meetings, right? Or here's a funny thing. When I got out of prison, I was over in Colin Bay, and you have to check in that day. When they put you on the fucking bus, it takes like 14 hours to get over here. And the next day when I showed up in my office, she's like being a fucking bitch to me. But I deserved it because I'm a 23-time felon. I have 113 arrests just in Snohomish County alone. And she's like, well, statistics shows that you're a failure. And she turned around and she's typing on her computer. And I was sitting in the chair. When she turned to look back, I got my feet up on her desk, right? What the fuck? She smacks them off. I'm like, here to prove you I'm not to be a statistic. I was the first person in ever to complete DOSA without a violation because I wanted it. I wanted something fucking different, and I didn't know how to do it. But when I was in fucking prison doing that little TC class in OCC, they gave me some hope. And it's not what they gave me, it's what I found in me. I found there's a guy inside that's not nicknamed fucking One Punch, Knockout, or Skinny Jimmy. There's a guy named Jimmy George Absher, and that's who I am today. I'm a father, I'm a friend, I'm a brother, I'm a son, and I'm an employer. Man, those fucking 5 things together 15 years ago would never fucking come out of my mouth. You know, and so here I go through all these states of steps to DOSA. They let me go to Alaska to go work. They let me go to California to go to a wedding. And they let me go with my 2 best friends at the time, Ryan and Daryl, to a NASCAR race in North Carolina while I was on DOSA. I got out of DOSA and I was scared, right? They give me these little things, slips to sign. And like I told you guys, I was a little bit illiterate, so I thought I could figure they'd be able to copy my signs. So I actually went to the meetings to get my slip signed. And like this in the back row, sitting with my arms crossed because I didn't trust nobody. And I heard someone start saying my story, how they'd done some of the shit I got. So I took that one brick down, set it down. Then I heard someone else say something. I took that brick down. And it's a slow process. You know, I mean, I got 15 years clean, and it took me over 5 years to take those bricks down to be able to fucking let everybody in, right? Because I was a hard-ass street thug, right? Pretty much I just fucked up people's life for no reason because that's what I thought was cool. And then I got this buddy who heard me say that I was a welder, and he gave me all this shit to go to get a job. And I went to work for this guy, and 12 years later, that owner of that company called me one day and said he's going to retire. And I'm like, yeah, right. When you're serious, give me a call. But he called me and offered to sell me his company. And he knew I've been to prison and where I've been from. And his reasons why he called me, he's like, everybody has a skeleton in their closet. It just depends on how you deal with it, right? I don't want to be a statistic, right? During my time in recovery, my best friend Ryan, he ended up having a heart murmur and died, right? And on his memorial ride, my first wife, and she was fighting cancer, was riding on the back of the bike with me, and her fucking dad crashes and wrecked next to me and dies in my hand on the way to my buddy's funeral. Then me and my wife ended up getting married, and a few months later, my wife died. All within 6 months, 3 of the fucking my best friend, my soon-to-be father-in-law, and my wife all died in my hands. And you know what's not heavy at all? It's this fucking phone. Because I use that fucking phone so much to call so many fucking people that it saved my life. And being as I showed up and sat down in these rooms, I may not have told a lot, but people see me and they heard what's going on and they show up for me, man. And closed mouth does not get fed. So, man, it doesn't matter what you go through or how you're going through it. Always talk about it, man, because sometimes our best thinking That was our worst enemy. And then when we say it to somebody, and after it comes out of your mouth, you're like, nah, I was just joking. Nah, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I did that in my fucking step works the first time we went through my steps. And he read the question and I answered. And he's like, did you read that? Because that's not the answer. I'm like, that's what I was thinking. You know, and that's because that's my path. That's my story. And I don't want to be a story. I want to have a path. I want to put footsteps in the ground that's where somebody wants to take something out of my toolbox and stay. I mean, because I can go through people dying in my hands, taking their last breath. If I can do that, I can stand up here and tell you guys that no matter what you go through, there's men in this fucking room and their toolbox of life. They have a fucking tool, and it's a 100% guarantee that everybody wants to give it to you, that you have them tools. You know what I mean? Because that's what we come here for, is not to be greedy and keep it. But man, I tell you what, if you guys all in here in the first year of your life, keep every fucking bit of that, because you deserve to have that fucking silver lining around that fucking cloud you're earning. You know, did you hear what I said? You're earning that. You yourself is earning your own steps. Man, and you got to keep that, because I still hold on to that first year and second year and third year. My first 5 years of being a newcomer and learning how to fucking think for myself and respond to other people was the best 5 years of my recovery. Because then I started wishing for more, and I was getting more, and I was wishing for more, because be careful what you wish for, because you can get it in here. You know what I mean? I own my own business. It's amazing. My wife owns her own business. It's amazing. But I get all the hassles with that. I have people that depend on me. I have people who have had to pay mortgages, and I fucking desire to do that. Here I am, a 23-time felon. I've gave up 8.5 years of my life to the prison system, and I'm the fucking man that they call to ask for help. Man, how many times did that happen back in the day? If it wasn't stealing, this is something I've desired my whole life. I'm 51 years old, and I'm not a statistic. I am not the man who has 113 arrests in Snohomish County. I have 45 arrests in Whidbey Island, and who knows how many in King County. You know, I don't even want to know. It's kind of embarrassing, because here I am now with 15 years clean and sober, not embarrassed. Because I am proud of the story I get to tell, because that path got me to be responsible. That path has got me to be a papa, a pow-pow to my grandsons, a father figure. You know, I have 2 beautiful stepdaughters that depend on me for everything. And I'm proud of that. I got sponsees that call me. They depend on my opinion. Sometimes my opinion is just a question, and let them answer their own, because that's how we figure stuff out in life. You know, and my wife and I have been together now for 24 years, off and on. So I've been to prison with her and out with her, and we use drugs together. And she asks me all the time, "Are you gonna buy a lottery ticket?" I don't need to. I already won it. You know what I mean? And people, men in here that's been through with their wives and stuff and made it back, you've already won. Hold on, because life only gets better, man. And if you're fucking struggling, you don't have to struggle alone. Don't struggle in silence, because it's a guarantee, man. I will love you until you learn to love yourself, like my sponsor said. And I will love you deeply, and I do it where you know I am never gonna fucking walk away from you, man. And what time is it, guys? Man, so like last week, I was in Arizona, and I made sure to fly home so I can be here, because my sponsee asked me to be here. You know what I mean? And I said yes. And how are you going to show your sponsees how to be a man if you don't show up when you're supposed to show up? And I'm fucking blessed to show up here with a bunch of great men. You know, and if you're feeling down about something, look around. There's guaranteed somebody in here will talk to you about something. Because, you know, when you leave here, you should fucking, everybody, it don't matter if you have fucking 1 day or 30 years, everybody should walk out with the same feeling. Proud for another day clean. I'm Jimmy, and I'm an addict.